Welcome to the studio. It's Froyle here, and today we're experimenting on the gel plate with acrylic paint and alcohol inks. Can we mess with the two? Well, you're gonna have to come along for the adventure. I'm also pulling out some powdered pigment. It's all happening today, and this is the bonus lesson of a class that I've already got on Skillshare called Using Unconventional Techniques for Gelli Plate Printing. In the original lessons, I'm using earthy colors and a real neutral palette. They turned out absolutely beautiful. We add some stencils, we create some image transfers. There's so many possibilities, but with today's bonus lesson, I'm pulling out my favorite colors. Have a look at what we're doing. It's all happening on the gel plate, rich, luscious colors of experimental techniques. It's a whole lot of fun, and I'm going to share this bonus lesson with you. And don't forget to check out the full Skillshare class. Now, today I have a 12 by 9 gel elf plate that I'm using. I'm also going to be using this paper today, which is a watercolor paper. It's 185 grams or 90 pound hot pressed paper, so it's beautiful and smooth, and that was why I bought this particular paper, and that's why I'm using it for this experiment. Now, it's not super thick, but I'm hoping it's going to be thick enough for what I want to do, because I will be giving the plate lots of loving. And the paper's going to have to absorb all of the paint that I'm going to throw on it. Now, I'm going to start with these two colors. I have Naples Yellow Reddish and Naples Yellow. The paint is a little stiff. It's an atelier paint. So I've put them into these watercolor containers with some water just to soften them and make them thinner to use, because I want to get that watery, washy kind of paint technique on the plate. That's the plan, Stan. So we're going to start with these colors, but we obviously aren't going to stay there. I also might pull out some fluid paint. I know it's going to get a little very experimental today. So let's just start with these beautiful colors, brushing it on the plate. This is a fairly new gel plate, so it is still going to be beading up, which I totally love. I love that effect. I love the watery look and the beading effect on the plate. So I'm going to put some of these two beautiful colors, brush it straight onto the plate. That's how we're going to start. And then let's see where we might want to head. Maybe a bit more of this one. It's beading up more than I thought it would. That's really funny. But it's going to look beautiful because the colors are glorious. Should we splash a little bit of maybe the magenta in the fluid paint? So it's a lot more fluid than the full body paint, but not as runny as what I just created by adding the water. Look at the colors. Oh, now these are some of my absolutely favorite colors. So that's why we have to use them today, because I'm just wanting to. Right, we've got some paint on there. It's beaded up pretty nice. Maybe we'll add a little bit of the Ozo Gold. This is another beautiful color. Some of the fluid paint into this area down here. That is going to look stunning, absolutely stunning. Right. Now what do we want to do? Perhaps a little bit of the eyes inks. Now this is an acrylic spray ink. It's definitely one of my favorites, although it's a lot harder to get now because the eyes inks are actually getting discontinued, was what I heard from somebody. Heartache. That's a bit sad. So let's spray on some of the beautiful bronze shimmer. Oh, favorite colors. Righto, I think we could just pull that and see what we've got with these colors, because then we're just going, oops, it's a bit slippery. Because then we're just going to keep adding to the plate and keep adding to these glorious colors. and see what kind of experimental prints we can create. I love doing experiments. I think it's one of my favorite ways to create with the gel plate because you never quite know what you're going to get till you pull back that print. Ready? Are you ready? Ta-da, ta-da! Yes! Now that is absolutely beautiful. And we can add to that. We can create a second layer. We can create stencils. We could add an image transfer. We could create paint. We could draw on it with even some paint markers. There's so many ways you can use these beautiful, stunning prints. And they really do look like a painting because we've literally brushed on the paint. Right, so let's add a bit more of this glorious color. Now the paints are going to get a little more mixed up because I'm just adding them straight over the top, and that really is a bit of fun. Oh, I love the way it creates those textures. Now what do I want? Do I want some more magenta? Okay, let's add a little bit of magenta onto here, but this time let's add some of the alcohol spray that's got the isopropyl alcohol in it. Maybe some alcohol ink. Let's do some of that in rich gold. You can't fail with gold. We might just add some more of the beautiful Naples yellow down here. Absolutely love the brush marks and the textures that this kind of application creates. It's so much fun. Don't be afraid. Just splash it on the plate and see what you get. Right, alcohol ink. Are we feeling brave? I'm feeling very brave. It can only not work. It'll be all right. Let's put some of that on there. What happens if we spray, some alcohol to it? I don't really know what that did, but it might have done something. I think it kind of just disperses the alcohol ink. See, you can see now the alcohol coming through the paper on the back there. It just creates a different texture. It creates a different mark because the alcohol ink and the alcohol itself reacts to the acrylic paint, and it just has a different kind of look to it. I did say I was a mad scientist now, didn't I? Righto. Let's have a look and see what we got from that little experiment. Oh yeah, baby. You can see now the alcohol ink on there, on that section of it. Now, perhaps I need some more full body paint on it because it's beaded up so much, I'm losing sections of my paint, but I am very keen to do second layers on these prints. What about we get a little bit more dramatic with some quinacridone violet? So this one is similar to the magenta that I was already using. It's just a little darker. And again, it's one of my favorite paints. So let's put some of that on the plate. Oh, I love the look of this with the brush marks. And then we could add some of this at the bottom. Maybe we'll add some of the Ozo Gold. I like that idea as well. That's such a beautiful color. Perhaps a little bit more of the alcohol ink. What's that going to do? Oh, look how cool it looks. Now that looks amazing. This time I don't think I'm going to spray it. I'm just going to leave it like that. Let's leave it like that and pull that print and see what it does. It's kind of sitting on top of the acrylic paint because I didn't put any alcohol on it or spread it around. It's just going to sit on the top. And because we're pulling it with such beautiful watercolor paper, I'm hoping it's going to just suck up into the paper. I'm hoping. I'm always hoping. But the colors are beautiful. The paints look great. And it's just a whole lot of fun. Let's see what that did, how the colors responded, and how the alcohol ink looks. Oh, that didn't do what I thought it might do. Look, it didn't stick to the paper. It's still on the plate. Oopsies. Maybe I think I might wait for this paint to dry and then pull it with another colour, because that's really interesting what it's done there. That was just with the alcohol ink, but I didn't spray it with the alcohol. So let's wait for that to dry and then pull it, maybe with that Naples yellow. Oh, or else I might get some of the rich gold. Right, so I gave that a few minutes to dry on the plate, which is quite fascinating what the alcohol inks have done. They're stuck to the acrylic paint. They didn't come off on the first print, which I think is a whole lot of fun. So let's add some of this Naples yellow to the plate, and we'll put the paper on, let it dry, and pull that print. Oh man, that's so super fun. And let's see how beautiful that's going to look. And then we have to try more experiments. Now, my watercolor paper is just a tiny bit narrower than my plate, which is kind of fun because the color goes all the way to the edge, which I really like. So I'm going to let this dry for a few minutes before I peel it back to see what amazing, beautiful print painting we've created. So I gave the print just a couple of minutes. It wasn't too long. I'm hoping that it's going to be dry enough to lift up that paint layer. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Ooh. I think it's going to be all right. It's coming off very easily. Ta-da, ta-da. Look at that. Look at that. You can see, if you get in the angle of the light, you can see the alcohol ink, very gold and very metallic there on the plate, and which is very exciting, and it totally came off with that paint layer. So no fear, march on. The alcohol ink is coming off fabulous, even when it gets stuck on the plate the first time. So I'm going to do that again. That's just so much fun. So what shall we add this time? We've got the Ozo Gold. Let's have some of that. Some of the magenta. Yeah, okay, some of the magenta. And then let's add some of the Naples yellow as well into this section. These colours are quite beautiful. They're a little like sunset colours, don't you think? They are working just fabulous. So are we going to splash on some more of that? Oh, I think so. How can we not? My paint is still beading up on this plate. That's okay. I don't mind that. It's creating a really interesting texture. I wonder what would happen if we splashed more of the alcohol ink on it. Where's my alcohol ink? What does that do? I don't know, man. It didn't really do that much, but let's put some of the gold. Oh, I've got some copper as well. Maybe we should try that. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's fantastic. I like the way it's creating this texture down there. Was that the alcohol ink that did that? I don't know, but it looks pretty cool. So let's pull that straight away. And then if it leaves with some of the paint on the plate or the alcohol ink on the plate, then we know what to do, don't we? We just let it dry and pull another print. Oh, it's a win-win. We got 2 for 1 deal. Absolutely love it. You can see from the back of the paper here the alcohol coming through and soaking in to the watercolor paper. Let's see what it did for us. What did we create? Oh, beautiful. Look, it stayed there again. All right, we're going to have to pull it. But those colors are stunning, and then this print's going to get a second layer. So I put the beautiful rich gold, the Atelier paint color, onto the gel plate once that layer was a lot drier, and then I've put my paper down, and now we're all ready to pull the print. I've given it a few minutes, not too long, but long enough for it to dry enough on the plate to pick up those paint layers. Well, that's the theory. Maybe I didn't wait long enough. That's a good lesson to learn. You do have to wait a bit longer if you want your prints to pick up all of the paint that's on the gel plate, especially when you're getting experimental and throwing lots of different elements onto the plate. But look at that. That's a whole lot of fun. What a beautiful print that is. Now, this section here has those textured marks because it's kind of all beading up with the water. This section here has got more of the acrylic paint and the alcohol ink that I've picked up from this pool, and there's the beautiful gold in the background. Now, that's a whole lot of fun. We could really push that some further. If you're trying this idea and your paint is not beading up and creating that kind of texture, just add some more water or mix it like this into a different container with some water if it's a full body paint, and then it'll create those marks on the gel plate. I really like it. I think it's beautiful, a great texture. And then this section up here, that's the fluid paint, so that's this one, which doesn't really need any water because it's thin enough to paint it on the plate like that. All right, what are we doing next? So what would it look like if we added some different colored alcohol inks onto the plate as I use up what's left in this one? Instead of just the gold, what about we splash on some other colors? Yeah, that could look pretty cool. Look at that. Even that by itself looks really cool. It's that watery effect. Just a bit of water. Oh, I just love it. Righto, what about some of this one, which is fuchsia? Fuchsia's a good color. Beautiful color. Oh man, look at that. Is that going to pick up in a print? I actually don't know. That's what we're doing. We're experimenting. Oh man, that looks amazing. What else should we add? What about some deep purple? Ooh, now I'm getting really messy and it's going everywhere, but let's add some of that as well. I don't know if this will actually pick up in a print. Oh man, I think my deep purple's done. But I know that we can roll on a paint layer and pick it up that way, so that'll work. Should we add some gold? You know we always need the gold. Let's, add a bit of gold to that. And what about if we just spread it around a little? Maybe it'll absorb better if we put the alcohol on it as well. Let's see what that does. I'm pretty keen just to pull that off the plate and then pick up another print with a paint layer. I think that would look pretty nice. The colors are beautiful. It's soaking really well into the watercolor paper. So let's see what that does. You don't know until you try. And I love experimenting. Did it pick it up? Oh, beautiful. It's beautiful. Look at the textures in that. Why were you so worried? Look at the textures. That looks fantastic. You know I'm going to have to do that again. Let's do it again. What I love about this kind of application is that it's instant. We're pulling the prints straight away. And that really is fun. We're not waiting for them to dry. We're just pulling them up and seeing what we get. And that's a whole lot of fun. So there's still some of the gold alcohol ink on there. And then I've got the Ozo gold in the fluid. And which one did I pull out? I pulled the magenta. Oh, man, I'm loving those colours. Righto, well, I might have a bit too much of one colour on there. So what are we going to add this time? What about we add some acrylic ink spray, the eyes ink. Let's add a bit of that on there. See what that will do. See how it just kind of makes the paint all bead up some more, creating those textured marks. Loving it, because I'm thinking that the ghost print's going to look pretty amazing. So let's just pull that. We are going to add some second layers to these prints, and let's lift that off the plate. Then we could put on some more alcohol ink and then pull a print with a paint layer. Righto, let's do that. Let's see what we get from that. Well, it's all a bit one colour. That's not very exciting. That didn't excite me at all. I think it all just kind of blended in. That was a bit of an anticlimax, don't you think? So what about if I put some alcohol ink on it now? Oh, yeah, baby. That's a bit more fun. don't you think? And then what happens if we spray it with the alcohol? You know this is highly experimental, right? Ooh, that could be fun. That's running a little. Yeah, I like that. Let's spray a bit more. That gets the alcohol ink moving. Oh, yes. That looks great. Then we get a whole lot more texture going on. Loving that. What about if we add a little bit of our fuchsia? What will that do? We'll just put a bit of that in there. It doesn't do much because it actually looks too similar to the background color, but the gold's looking beautiful, and putting that other color on did kind of just help move it around. Righto, well, that was cool. Oops, we better do something with the gel plate now. There was quite a beautiful color and pattern left on the plate after I pulled up that other print. So I just rolled over with the beautiful rich gold, put my paper down, and now a few minutes later, it should be ready to pull up. It's a little bit fun with all these different mediums on the plate. Ooh. You do have to wait for it to dry properly. Loving this one, loving this one. Look at that. Beautiful texture and coverage of the glorious gold in the background. That's just soaked up absolutely beautiful. I love that. I love all the paint application and brush marks and the watery texture, and you can see some of the fabulous gold alcohol ink as well on there. Loving it. That is gorgeous. Now what we might do next is pull back those prints that we've already done and put a second layer, because then we can get even more experimental. Right, so I think this is the first print. It's nice and dry anyway. It's got a nice color to it. It's got a good tone. It's got great texture. You can see where I've pulled it off the wet paint. It has all these textural marks. Lovely, but why would we leave it alone? It's dry now. We could do anything to it with all of these beautiful colors. So I'm thinking, let's add some more paint down the bottom here, and maybe a bit of drama up the top here. Just a little something. Just a little something, something. How about a little bit of the Naples yellow? My watery version, I've used it all up, so we might just have to spray it some more to get that fabulous watery texture happening. But we'll put that on the plate to start with. And then what do we want up here? Well, we don't want exactly the same colors, but I do want to add a little drama to it. So maybe we'll add a little bit more of this thicker Naples yellow up here, because I'm thinking, what about if we added some more of the alcohol ink on it to create some texture on top of this paint, because it pulls off straight away. And then I thought this could be a little crazy, but why stop now? I've pulled out some Lindy's Gang magical shakers. They're basically a powdered pigment, and I'd love to see what these would do on the plate. And if we spray them, I'm pretty sure that they would have an incredible color. Now, these are in a fabulous little shaker container. It's just like adding salt to your dinner. That's pretty exciting. We've got that on. It's going to print in those areas. So what about if we added a little bit of our, oh, look at that. A little bit of our powdered pigment on there, and I say a little bit and add a whole heap. Do we want alcohol or water? Well, either would work, I'm thinking. We'll go with the alcohol because it dries faster, and then it won't be so saturated and runny. But I don't know, because disclaimer, I've never tried this before on the plate, but it can only not work. Let's just get a bit of movement happening because it's fluid. It's going to move around a bit. What do you think? What do you think? Let's put it on there and see what it does. If the alcohol doesn't work so great with the powdered pigment, then we can just put water. It would work just as well. It just makes everything a lot wetter. because of course the isopropyl alcohol dries way faster. But what did that do? I don't know, man. It might not look any good at all, but we don't know unless we try. And if it doesn't work any good, man, we can paint over it. We can use it for collage paper anyway. It doesn't have to be a perfect print. It could become anything in the creative process. Ta-da, ta-da! What did that do? What did that do? That created a fabulous texture. I'm pretty happy with that. Look, I like it much better because it's got far more interesting texture now on it, on that second layer. That is pretty fun. What's on my plate? Oh, there's a bit left on the plate. I'm going to leave that and I'm going to roll over and add some more paint to it. Right, so I pulled this second one up off the floor. I don't know if it was the second print, but it was the second one that I picked up off the floor. And this is what we're starting with. What shall we add? Maybe a little bit. We don't want to use that colour because there's already a ton of that on there. I'm thinking the Naples yellow is still going to have the most contrasting effect. So let's add some more of that. Let's add some water this time and see if we can't get a little bit more movement happening with that beautiful powdered pigment idea. The paint's a lot thicker, so I definitely need to add some water, but I did like the way this colour created that texture on top of the last print. I thought that looked pretty cool. Now, after this print, I might let the paint dry and then pull the ghost print. Maybe. What about if we added some of the alcohol ink? What would that do? I don't know. We might not see it so much because of the dark colour that we're going over, but let's add it anyway. We got nothing to lose. Why stop now? Oh, what about some orange? Oh, orange might be all right too. Let's add a little bit of orange in here. And then we could put some, maybe let's put some pigment on that. Oh, we should move it around a little. Oh man, now things are getting really crazy. Let's move that paint around a little because it's a lot stiffer being the full body. And then I've got some in the magical shakers, impressionistic ink. Oh, what colour is that going to be? Pretty dark. We're getting dramatic, just saying. Oh, look at that. Yes, that's dramatic. Now it looks like pepper on your dinner. Shall we try it with the... Oh, it moves a lot more with the water. Righto, it's all getting saturated now. Oh man, look what we've done. Look what we've done. We're going to put it on straight on top of the previous print. I have got no idea how it's going to turn out. Now we've got everything going on. We've got the acrylic paint, we've got the alcohol inks, and we've got powdered pigment. Oh man, we've got fluid paint, we've got full body paint, we've got it all going on. Dare I even look to see what I've done? Ta-da! Look at that. That looks like a pretty stunning landscape. Now, let me just look at that. That looks amazing. Right, I'm going to leave that exactly like that. I'm going to wait for it to dry. And then I'm going to pull that with white or gold, maybe, because the gold you'll see through. Yes, we're going to do that. Push that up there. Well, what about this? This looks absolutely amazing, but we need some gold on it. Of course we do. Oh, what about some copper? Okay, I've got some copper alcohol inks. What about we just put, oh yes, a little bit of copper through there. That's pretty nice. Maybe up there, a little bit. It's pretty beautiful. And then we'll just run that like that. Maybe we'll run it like that. If we give it some more alcohol, we will. Give it a bit more of a squirt. Run it like that. Through all those textures. And that baby is going to look beautiful. That powdered pigment, telling you, it looks pretty good. And it's got all of that fabulous texture. So I'll put this back onto the floor to dry. And then when that lovely wet mess here is dry, I'm going to pull that print as well. This looks absolutely beautiful. I really hope it prints up well. But there's a lot of wet paint because I sprayed it with water. Quite a lot. And alcohol and powdered pigment and alcohol inks and acrylic paint. So This beautiful full gel plate of luscious colors and textures is going to take quite a bit of time to dry. So I'm going to put it aside and I'm going to pull out my second plate because I can't stop now. And I just picked up this one from off the floor of drying. It's beautiful. It turned out well. It's got some great textures on it. But of course, now I've pulled out the powdered pigments. I'm a bit excited for that. Should we use the Naples yellow again? Well, that seems to be working. Oh, my brush has got a bit of orange on it, not to worry. Now, I don't want to cover it entirely. I just want to add some textural elements. So, do you think I can do that? That's the question. See the difference with the thick full body paint? It's not beading up on my plate like it was before when I had mixed it with water. I do like that texture, but that's how you get it. Super easy. Just mix your full body paint with water and it creates that fabulous beading look. Now I'm thinking why I'm using the full body paint is because I want to just create a base layer on the plate because I'm going to put on some more of those alcohol inks and that powdered pigment, and I just want to lift that up off the plate onto this just to create more texture. So I'm thinking that the full body paint will create a good base for that alcohol ink and that pigment to sit. And then, as you saw before, what's left on the plate's amazing, and that will create another beautiful print. So shall we go with this color again? I'm thinking I like the fuchsia. Let's splash that on. Then we might splash on, you could use the rich gold, but it just doesn't seem to pick up well off the plate with the first one. It does with the second one. So let's just put it on there anyway. And we're going to add the alcohol to it, which gives it a bit of movement. Although I did think that the water gave it much more movement. Look at that. That already looks amazing. What are we going to do here? Well, we need to break up this paint for a start. And then I could add some copper down here. That doesn't look like copper. It looks like brown. I don't like that colour. Right, we're not using that one. What about this one? This one says copper as well. Man, that wasn't copper. They're lying to me. That looks more like copper. Let's add some of that onto there. Then some alcohol to break it up a bit. See, my paint's now starting to create that beautiful texture. And then, yes, I love this idea of my little pepper marks. We could put the other one up here. Okay, oops, came out a bit much then. And then if we add some more water to get it moving, let's get everything moving. Oh man, look at that. Look at that. Oh, and so, oh, what about some acrylic ink? Okay. Oops, this one's bronze in the acrylic. Bronze shimmer, my favourite eyes ink spray. That's on there as well. Look, that looks stunning in itself. So we're just going to put a bit of it onto this one, and then whatever's left we'll let dry and we'll pull that print. You really could just keep going and trying different combinations of the paint and the inks and the alcohol inks and the powdered pigments. You could just try different color combinations and see what you get. Look at that. And then, that's fabulous. Yes, we're pulling that print. Let's just move that. And then, if you don't like something when you pull the print up, like I actually really like this section, you can just wipe it back off. Look at that. That's fantastic. I like that section there, so I want to keep that color. Let's just wipe that off there, but then the rest of it's okay. Get that off there. That looks beautiful. Look at that. That's so interesting. Beautiful colors and textures. So many possibilities. So many beautiful prints to make. Now both my plates are drying. So I've got these two prints here that I really like, but I might add a bit more to them. And seeing as I don't have a gel plate, because they're both sitting with thick, beautiful, luscious, but very wet paint on them, I wonder what it would look like if I just added the alcohol ink. That's pretty cool. I'm filling in the gaps. Hey, I'm liking this. That's super easy too. Super easy. So I'm just going to have a play with these two prints, add a few more textures to them, a few more colors. I'm definitely going to splash on some of that powdered pigment because that was a bit fun. But this alcohol ink, that's pretty cool. That's working really well. I'm just smudging it with my fingers. It does get sucked up pretty quick because it is watercolor paper, and usually you put alcohol ink on a non-porous substrate like Yupo paper or something like that. You don't usually put it on watercolor paper, but why would we want to do anything usual? No, I'm not thinking that we would want to do it like usual. But that looks pretty beautiful. I'm liking that, and that was super easy to do. Little bit of alcohol ink on there. What about if we add, oh man, it just keeps going. If we put some alcohol on it, what does it do? Oh, look at the texture. That was fantastic. Righto, you've got to experiment. Pull out your prints that you weren't happy with the first time you printed them on the gel plate and have a little play. Put some alcohol ink on them. Give them a spray with some alcohol. You could probably use a brush. I'm just using my finger because it's here. It's attached. And it's attached to me. But you could perhaps use a brush. Oh, I really like the way it does that. Oh, that's a bit of fun. Okay, what about we put a little bit of, tiny bit of fluid paint down here with a little bit of orange. I don't want to cover my print too much. So add some water to the actual fluid paint. See how you're just kind of creating a glaze over the top, filling in all the white areas that didn't print. Oh man, that's fantastic. That worked. And then if you spray it with the water, it creates that watery effect. Loving it. Look how much better that is now. Super easy. What about if we put some of the beautiful gold on now? You know, we could put the alcohol on first, a bit of spray, and then drop in some of the gold. Oh, it didn't do what I thought it might. I thought it might like all bleed out, but it didn't, probably because it's on watercolor paper and it's a little porous, but it looks pretty darn beautiful. So that is a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. That looks fabulous. All right, I'll leave that alone. I really like that. Created that beautiful texture on it. The glorious gold of the alcohol inks. And the colour filled in all the white space. Yay, winner, loving that. All right, what are we going to do with this one? We might add a little something to it. What other colours have I got? What about we just add a bit of that orange, that, oops, maybe not too much orange. Oopsies, that was a bit much. Because it looks pretty nice on the other piece. I do like the consistency of using all the same colours, and also they're just here in front of me. So maybe I'm just being lazy. Oh man, that really, that's too much. Don't put too much on because then you can't see your beautiful print. So no stress, easy peasy. Just wipe it back off with a baby wipe. Run it over the whole thing and then take off, whoopsies, what you don't want, which is super, super easy. Look at that. See, don't panic. It's fine. That's a really nice colour. That's made the tone all work together nicely. Let's add some of that powdered pigment, okay, because that's pretty dramatic. I like this colour now with the slight orange tint to it. Much better. Righto, where's the shaker pepper? Where's the pepper shaker? There it is. Water. Oh, wow, that's dramatic. Of course, the more you spray, the more it's going to bleed out. I'm loving it just like that. I'm leaving it, telling you, I'm leaving it alone. I might add a little bit of colour in here with this alcohol ink. I'm a bit loving this today. Loving this alcohol ink today. I think I might have to pull this out again. Although I think I do need to get some more colours. But that's pretty nice. I'm liking that. Righto, we'll just fill in this space here. How easy is this? What about some copper this time? Let's add some copper up here. And then I think we're done. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's a pretty nice print. More like a painting now, really. The alcohol do, not that much. Moves it around a little bit. Creates a bit more texture. Those colours are pretty nice. Right, eventually the gel plates will dry and I'll pull those other prints. Have a look at all of my fabulous prints. Wasn't that just so much fun? Now remember, have courage, be brave, and if it doesn't go the way you want with the first print, then put another layer on top. Experiment, try different mediums and see what fabulous jelly prints you can create. Now, some of these have turned out absolutely spectacular, I must say. Look at this one with all of the fabulous textures. I just love it. You can see the splashy texture of the watery paint. You can even see some of the alcohol ink. That looks fabulous. I love the brushed on technique. This one, I added the alcohol ink after it with the second layer, and I think it would make a fabulous background paper. The watercolor has held up really well, and I think they would be a fabulous start for another collage, adding some elements or adding it into a different art piece. That's going to work. This was just one print, the first print, and I love it. I love the freshness. It's got a real energy to it. I even love the white paper that I've left coming through. There's the alcohol ink down the bottom and through there, and the gold. Now, talking about the alcohol ink, I was using this no-name brand alcohol ink because I bought it cheap and I was experimenting, but alcohol ink is actually dye mixed with alcohol in the little bottles, so it has a high tendency to fade. It's very fugitive, so you really need to think about that if you're creating something that you want to sell, or you want it to be archival, or you want it to remain exactly how it is. You may not want to use these alcohol inks, especially no-named brand cheap ones. The Jacquard Pinata alcohol inks are a much better brand to use, and the metallic ones, the gold that I was using, is pigment based, so that one's not going to fade. So just think about that with what you're creating. All of these are fabulous prints today. I was just having a whole lot of fun and creating probably for collage paper, so they'll get ripped up and used for something in layers, so I'm not particularly worried about the alcohol inks fading, but it is something to think about. Also, the alcohol ink will stain your gel plate. Oh, you can't see it, but if I move all those, now you can see how there's like a pink color now on my beautiful gel elf plate. It has stained it from the alcohol ink. That doesn't bother me, and it doesn't affect your jelly printing, not at all. So don't worry about that, but just know it will do that. If that's going to bother you, then again, don't use the magical alcohol inks, but you're missing out on a whole lot of fun. Look at how fabulous these prints are. I just love them. Now, the other thing I wanted to say was the powdered pigment. When you leave it on the paper like this, it has a good chance of reconstituting. If it gets wet, it'll turn to paint again, or it could flake off if you leave it kind of dusty like I have with this one. So what I like to do is use a spray varnish, and this one I'm using here is a gloss varnish because I do like things shiny. And spray it on, a nice even coat, easy peasy, very quick, very simple. And now the powdered pigment won't reconstitute, it won't flake off, it won't become like paint if it got wet. Or if you're using it for collage and you're gluing it down, you don't want that smudging into what you're creating. So just another helpful tip there. Now, these two prints here were the last two prints that I took. The plates did eventually dry, and I rolled on my favorite golden iridescent bronze fine onto the gel plate and put my paper down. Then I did have to leave it for quite some time, but because I am who I am, I didn't leave it long enough. And when I pulled up the prints, oh man, some of it had stuck to the gel plate. But no stress, I put on a bit more of the alcohol ink. I put a few little touch-ups on them, and look how stunningly beautiful they are now. I do think these are actually my favorite prints, my prints of the day. Even though I do have so many, I'm loving these too. So I think the best suggestion is maybe leave the print overnight or an extended period of time if you're going to add so much acrylic paint, acrylic ink, alcohol ink, lashings of water, lashings of alcohol, and the powdered pigment. If you're going to put all of that onto the gel plate like I did, you are going to have to leave it for an extended period of time, not the usual time that you would just pull your print back up again, which might only be half an hour or an hour or maybe even 2 hours. You have to leave it longer than that. That's what I found, because it did stick on the plate. It wasn't dry properly. That is pretty understandable because it was pretty thick and lush, but I love it. And then if you left it overnight, you'd be guaranteed to pull that up. It's going to be dry, baby. I think that these two prints, my pick of the day, would be absolutely exceptional on the bigger gel plate. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Shall I try it on the bigger 16 by 20 inch plate? I might have to do that for next week, because I'm thinking I would definitely leave that overnight. Put it all on the plate, leave it overnight, pull the print, maybe on some wet strength tissue. Yes, yes. I'm inspired. I'm going to give it a go. Thanks for joining me today. Make sure you check out my Skillshare classes. I have 23 Skillshare classes, and this was a bonus lesson for exploring unconventional jelly printing techniques for crafting atmospheric backgrounds. I know. Why did I title it so long? I don't know, man. But basically, we're creating fabulous prints, which we can then go on and create other glorious collage pieces or paintings or more fabulous prints. Don't forget, you can find out more information in the description under the video, or have a look at my website, froiler.com. I like that idea for next week, so you better come back and see if we're creating that in the studio.